Hello, everybody, and welcome to Anime for Life. Today, I've got some really interesting and, in my opinion, good news for you. In 2 months, so January of 2020, a new series is going to be introduced, and it's actually one that I completely forgot about for a long time. And that series is called Inchuzoku Reviewers, also known as Interspecies Reviewers. And as you can see, it's going to be pretty spicy. Lots and lots of plot. And so the premise of this series, you may be wondering, is aside from, well, the plot, is, well, what is it? And I will tell you. The plot of this is basically about a group of people who, well, to be blunt, basically go around to brothels and give their reviews. So, yeah, that's basically the long and short of it. And it starts out with this guy here, our noble hero Stank. Great name, by the way. And he just gets out of one of his favorites, which is an elf brothel. And at this point, he hasn't gotten into the reviewing yet. He doesn't start off as a reviewer. He just does his thing. But he's also he's friends with another elf whose name is Zelf, conveniently enough. Not a lot of thought put into that one. But he doesn't like that. He doesn't like getting it on with elves. He seems to think with the age it's not very tasteful. Like he compares it to getting it on with seniors of our own species. Whereas, because to us, elves, no matter their age, look cute, we see nothing wrong with it. And so they get into a bit of an argument over that. And so what they do is they decide to say, okay, let's hold a contest to see what everybody's opinions on that is. And so that's what they do. And they hold a contest and they have everybody's opinions put on. And he puts his input, and then he's got this beast man and this halfling, whatever halfling is. And he's got Zelf put his. And surprisingly enough, everybody actually thinks that the human, the like almost 60-year-old human, actually beats out the elf because of various reasons. And so he's actually quite surprised by that. So what they decide to do after actually putting up a post of these reviews is they actually make a lot of money off of this. They didn't expect people to actually take these opinions seriously. But once they did, they thought, hey, you know what, maybe I'm going to try this place out. And they decided to leave money as basically like a tip, like you would do at a nice restaurant for good service. And they actually made a lot of money off this. So they decided, you know what, let's make this our job. Let's go to all these brothels and make money by leaving reviews on whether we think it's good, bad, in the middle, just outright stay away, whatever. And that's what they do. But shortly before they decide to do all that, they meet Crimviel, I think is how you pronounce his name. And he's an angel. And there's not really much to say about him. They do the typical, he runs into a monster, can't take it, so they fight and rescue him. The typical plot. And so the first one that you really get to see is the avians. And they each put in their scores, and Zell and Stank really like it. Crimviel, being an angel, is very reserved about it, but he ranks it fairly highly. But the Lamia doesn't like it because being a snake variety, they don't, being avians, don't like snakes because snakes eat birds. And they give all their reviews about it, and they even give little tips on where, at the top here, don't know if you could read it, but at the top they even give little tips on what the best way to get the best reaction from the girls is. And so everybody takes that into account and they're like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'll remember that. But the waitress here at the restaurant that they were at, that they frequent a lot, is a bird girl. So she's like super embarrassed about this. But they don't go just to this place. They also go to places like a succubus brothel, which even the little angel is thinking, yeah, I've never been here before. They go to ones where it's a build your own girl, because they gone to a golem slash doll brothel, so you can basically do it yourself, whichever one you want, whatever personality you want. There you go. Which build your dream girl, literally build your dream girl. And so they rate that one fairly well, but they also say that, it's all up to craftsmanship, to based on how you want to view that one. If you're not good at craftsmanship, it's probably not for you. So they actually rate things fairly decently. But they even go so far as to visit an undead brothel. So with that one, they're kind of like, I don't know. We do it because it's our job, but that one's not so much up our alley. But it's not all fun and games, because they do come across the one brothel with the Lillums, and as you can see, if I saw faces like that looking at me through the window, I'd be like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go somewhere else. But duty calls, and so they tried this Lillum brothel, and they end up highly regretting it, and then they basically have to sign a waiver. And as you can see on the door, may God help you, think of your family, danger. And as she even says here, even if it goes overboard and you puts your life at risk, we ain't being held liable. That says something. And in the end, they basically end up being knocked out for an entire week because these girls are so crazy. So, as you can see, this is a pretty hardcore manga, but it never actually crosses into the hentai territory. So you're safe from that, but even still, I don't know how they managed to get away with greenlighting this into an actual anime that's going to be aired everywhere. I would think this would be restricted like straight on 18A, but apparently they've greenlighted it to be played everywhere. So all I say is thank you, Japan, for not bending the knee. And I almost have a sneaking suspicion that because of all this outrage and criticism that all these SJWs are doing and throwing at Japan for like Izuki-chan and Luna-chan and all that they're throwing at them, I'm almost wondering if this isn't a straight up middle finger to them, to be basically saying, oh, you want something to complain about? We'll give you something to really complain about. But at the same time, having said that, this series actually touches on a lot of issues that they complain about a lot. And it really covers them so that they have nothing to complain about at the same time when you look into it. For instance, the little angel, he actually he's got both parts. He's both got male and female parts to him. He's a hermaphrodite. So they really can't say anything about that. And it implies that both are functional. On top of that, it also covers racism. When they go to the brothel with all the Cyclops. This girl here is revealed to have been the one to given them the letter of recommendation to it, to figure out if the person she fell for would like her because she's got a small eye. And I guess the Cyclops species is judged based on their eye size. And because she's got a small one in her tribe, she would be looked down upon. Whereas the Cyclops with the bigger eyes are considered beautiful. So to her, she wouldn't be considered very attractive. So, and since she fell for a human, she was worried if she would be judged for that. So it touches on racism there. Well, what about sexuality? Well, we got that covered because Angel also happens to swing both ways. Hence the term rainbow. They've actually got terms for that. They've got like the rainbow is for both ways. They swing for male and female, and then they've also got the gays and the lesbians, but they have their own special terms for that. But I can't remember what they are in this series. I'd have to go back. For transitionals, they've got the one brothel that actually is all about gender bending and gender swapping. So when it comes to transitions, they've got that covered too. So you can't complain about that. And if you want to go about the women's rights and it objectifies women, every single one of these brothels is owned and operated by a woman. There's probably about, oh god, an easy 20 or more brothels in this series that I've read in the 22 chapters, 21, 22 chapters. And I think only one, maybe two of them have been run by a male. The Cyclops one is run by a male, but there's maybe one more that's done by a male. And every single other brothel in this series is run and owned by a female. The succubus, the mushroom, the slime, the lilum, the will-o'-the-wisp, the undead, all of them are done by women. So you can't say that the women are misrepresented. If anything, it's the men who are misrepresented. So it actually touches on a lot of subjects. And it's very, very good on the women's rights in the fact that they put a lot of guidelines that each customer has to follow. Like, you're not allowed to be rough with the girls. You have to respect their boundaries. The closest that you get to being allowed to get away with being violent with the girls is like the latest chapter where they say you can do anything you want with her, but that's because she's a clone, and she, even if you left her alone to stand there doing nothing, she'd disappear in 3 days. Like, she's literally a being of magical energy that doesn't matter. Even if she stood there doing nothing, she would eventually just disappear in 3 days. And depending on what you do to her, she would stay longer or shorter. Aside from that, there are strict regulations on how you treat these girls. So it's not just a straight up raunch fest. It actually has a lot of thought and political sense put into it. And the author has actually put a lot of research into what all these species would likely be like. Like the succubus, everybody knows they would be very lustful, and he's made touch on that. The avians, he's actually put the research into the nape of the neck being an erogenous zone. That is actually true. Birds actually do have an erogenous zone at the nape of the neck. And he's put research into other areas as well. So I'm really looking forward to this series. Both as just, I can't believe this actually got greenlit because of how very mature this series is. But also the sheer fact that I can already hear the screams and the rees of what this is going to bring when it launches in January of 2020. Even my sister can't wait for this series to launch, and she's usually not much into this kind of series. So take of that of what you will. I never thought a series like this would get launched. I know a lot of series like High School DxD, the Demon Lord, and panty and stocking, things like that, they can really push the envelope. But if you read this manga, this one reaches new levels of what it touches upon and what it goes for. Um, so I'm really interested to see on what they try and are able to get away with when this anime launches. And you can be damn sure I'm going to be there keeping an eye on when it releases so I can be there the day it comes out. Um, I highly doubt it will ever be localized, and if it does, I would not be surprised at all if they tried to heavily censor it because, reset era and whammon. So just with the nature, I highly, highly, highly doubt that it will ever get localized. But who knows? Stranger things have happened. So I just wanted to um, bring that to your attention. Tell me your thoughts on what you want to see or what you think of this new series coming out. Um, it's a little hard to find online to read, but it's there. Just put in the title interspecies reviewers or Ishizoku reviewers, and you'll be able to find it with a little searching around on Google. It's not an overly serious series whatsoever. It's very lighthearted for the most part. Um, it does have parts that show that there might be a little something extra going on behind the scenes. So it's not just a straight up romp fest all the time. There is an underlying plot beyond the plot. Um, but there's only about 21 chapters aside from like bonus chapters. There's like 4 or 5 of those. So we haven't really gotten to the thick of it yet. Um, both literally and figuratively. Um, but we'll see as the time goes on. There's only 2 volumes out, but from what I've seen, in about in Japan there's 3, but it should be about February that was guesstimating that the 3rd volume should come out in English. So I'm guessing there's actually probably about 30 chapters, 30, 35, but we'll see. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that for now. Aside for I can't freaking wait till this comes out. Um, and honestly, I can't wait to see about what these people bitch, whine, and complain about this series. I'm looking forward to that almost as much as I am towards watching the actual series. So leave your thoughts and comments about this. Are you looking forward to it? Is it not really your thing? Have you seen it before? I'm really interested to know. Like and subscribe. That'd really help me out. And yeah, until next time, keep enjoying anime and anime for life.